What is happening, boys and girls? Jim here, RCAD. Yeah, channel subscribers, your eyes are not playing tricks on you. That is an airplane sitting on the workbench, and I'm sure you're wondering why. Well, we'll get into that here in a second. To the newcomers, people who are not subscribed to the channel, people who solely want to see a good, solid unboxing video on this airplane, you'd be much better served to check out somebody else's channel on YouTube, somebody who is 100% dedicated to airplanes. I know absolutely nothing about airplanes. This is more of a show and tell for the people who are subscribed to my channel versus a unboxing video on this airplane. I am going to do an unboxing video on it, like a straight up unboxing video. We're going to cover all the bases. We're going to check out everything that the box has to say, and we'll get the plane out of the box. We'll check out the plane. We'll check out the manual. We'll get the plane put together. But as far as answering questions, I'm not going to be able to tell you much because I know absolutely nothing about RC airplanes. Absolutely nothing. All right, back to our channel subscribers here. This airplane is actually inspired by one of our most recent crawlers, and that is this Rock Hobbies FMS Hobby 1/6 scale MB scaler 1941 Willys Jeep. That is what is inspiring this airplane here. Not necessarily that airplane, but a warbird. I'd like to get a warbird in the future. And it was the box art. It was the box art from this vehicle that is making me want to get a warbird. Basically a scale accessory to go along with this Jeep. Something that we can use on video, whether the Jeep's driving to the plane and taking off from there, or the plane's coming in for a landing and leaving in the Jeep, one way or the other, or just decoration in the background. I'd like to have a warbird to go along with this. I don't want to distract from our video too much here, but this is what's inspiring this airplane. So looking at the box art for our Rock Hobbies 1/6 scale MB scaler, good looking Jeep there, right? Other than the steering linkage, you really can't tell that that's an RC car. And in the background, they've got that Miss Kentucky State P-51 Mustang sitting back there. And that's kind of what's inspiring this, is that I'd like to get an airplane to go along with our Jeep. I know it sounds a little bit silly, but hey, there it is. And in order to do that, I need to learn how to fly. And I've heard that those old warbirds that have the tail wheel, or the wheel on the tail of the plane, can be a little bit difficult with the takeoffs and the landings. Excuse me, here, get our camera readjusted here. It can be a little bit difficult with the takeoffs and landings, mainly because you got the prop on the front. You got your two wheels right there for your main takeoff and landing, and your tail wheel. So when you take off, you're taxiing like this with your tail wheel touching the ground, and you got to bring your tail wheel up, or bring the back of the plane up without taking the front wheels off the ground and without hitting your prop, and then take off from there. So you're kind of taxiing like this. You're lifting the back end up, and then you're taking off and flying off from there. And when you're landing, same thing. You're kind of coming down on those two front wheels without hitting your prop, and then touching down onto that tail wheel. I don't think it's quite a three-point landing. You're probably coming in on the first two wheels and then touching down onto the tail wheel. I assume. I'm not a pilot. I don't know. So if I'm wrong, I'm sure there's going to be an expert that's going to jump in and correct me. And feel free to, because you have every right to. I have absolutely no idea. I am not a pilot. I'm just kind of guessing at that. All right, on to the Hobbyzone Aeroscout S2 1.1 meter airplane. What does 1.1 meter mean? Well, that is the wingspan. It's 1.1 meters from one side of the wing to the other side. And that is roughly 1,100 millimeters. Well, not roughly, it is 1,100 millimeters. 1.2 would be 1,200. 1.3 would be 1,300 millimeters. 0.7 would be 700 millimeters. 0.1 would be 100 millimeters. So 1.1 is 1,100 millimeters from end to end on that wing. All right, well, let's get our camera in a little bit closer and start checking out everything else that's on the box. Taking our camera off the tripod, moving in for a closer look here at our plane and everything that she has to say. Hobbyzone Aeroscout S2 1.1 meter, the perfect trainer for the beginner pilot. That's us once again. Skill level 1, no experience required. That's us. What's included? See side panel for details, little arrow pointing that way, which is this side panel. We'll take a peek at that here in a moment. Easy to fly with safe technology, exclusive safe technology, a little bit of redundancy there. 3 flight modes, beginner, intermediate, and experience. We've got our battery sitting right down here, which is a 1300 milliamp or 1.3 amp 3S LiPo 30C discharge rate. Pusher power, pusher prop, protected motor and propeller. Motor sitting behind the fuselage, prop facing backwards, motor facing backwards, plane going forward. Very durable, advanced EPO construction. I'm not too sure what EPO is, what that stands for. If anyone knows, feel free to leave a comment in the comment area below. In my mind, I think that sounds like elastic polymer construction, but I could be totally wrong. The only reason I say elastic polymer construction is from working in the landscape and outdoor construction industry for years, installing brick paver patios in people's backyards and front yards and sidewalks and whatnot. And we used to use a special sand to sweep in between the bricks called polymeric sand. And it was like a mixture of rubber cement and sand, kind of, sort of, but not quite. And you'd sprinkle it with water to activate it, and it would kind of glue everything together, and it was like a stretchy, sandy compound. And that is what is making me think that this is elastic polymer. I could be totally wrong. Whatever that is, if somebody knows, feel free to leave a comment below. But there we go. Very durable, advanced EPO construction. Not too sure what EPO stands for. I think elastic polymer, but I could be dead wrong on that. Hobbyzone Hobbies, designed, built, and backed since 1985, or established in 1985. Good year, 1985. I remember that year. Fly this model, a Real Flight Simulator, in the training edition of Real Flight. Purchase Real Flight Training Edition RC Flight Simulator with the Spectrum WS2000 wireless simulator dongle. Both sold separately. To fly this and other models using the transmitter included with the RTF basic version. So the transmitter that is included with this version, which is the DXS, you can use on that Real Flight Simulator, as long as you have the dongle to go along with it, which you have to buy separately, and the Real Flight, which you have to buy separately as well. But then you can plug the your transmitter right into your computer and fly the plane using your own transmitter. So there's no confusion when you go to fly the real deal. All right, so that's basically everything that it has to say on this side of the box. Let's take a peek at the other side over here. Moving around to the next side of the box, our what's included side of the box. Over here, excuse the noisy chair in the background. Hobbyzone Aeroscout S2 1.1 meter. Once again, S and the 2 a little bit too far apart. 2 and the 1 a little bit too close together. They need to have that 2 a little bit closer to the S and the 1 a little bit further separated. Perfect trainer for the beginner pilot. Skill level 1. Bind and fly basic. Ready to fly basic. Only difference between the two is that the ready to fly comes with a transmitter. Bind and fly does not. Neither one come with a battery or a charger. They both have the motor, electronic speed controller or ESC, servos, and receiver pre-installed. Once again, only difference is that ready to fly comes with a transmitter. Bind and fly does not. Ready to fly basic version, RTF, basic aircraft includes everything you need to fly except for a battery and charger. This allows you to choose a convenient and money-saving Spectrum Power Stage bundle or separate battery and charger you prefer, sold separately. My apologies for the camera jumping around. Bind and fly, basic version. Camera jumping around like mad. Try to hold it still here. Already own a Spectrum transmitter, bind and fly, B&F basic aircraft. Make getting into the air quickly and with the best control experience possible. Easier than ever. They come out of the box with servos, power system, and a Spectrum 2.4 gigahertz receiver installed. So all you need to do is bind the receiver to your compatible transmitter. You need a Spectrum transmitter. Install a suitable battery. Finish any final assembly and fly. Transmitter, battery, and charger sold separately. They should have kind of had that at the end, and this part connected to the back half over here. So suitable battery, finish any assembly and fly, and then move on to transmitter, battery, and charger sold separately. Once again, written kind of poorly back here. Made in China. Needed to complete the recommended Spectrum Power Stage 2 bundle. So they recommend this battery to complete it, which is a 1300 milliamp, which is 1.3 amps, 30C, 3S LiPo. That's what they recommend. For like the Power Stage 2 bundle, you can step it up to a 2200 milliamp or 2.2 amp 3S battery. Only difference there between our 1300 and the 2200 milliamp battery, other than weight, is that this battery is going to give you a slightly longer runtime. That's really the only difference. More milliamps, or more amps. 1.3 amps or 1300 milliamps versus 2.2 or 2200. So longer runtime. It's not going to go any faster. The battery is just going to be a little bit heavier, and it's going to give you a slightly longer runtime. That's the only difference. Smart G2 LiPo battery and a S120 USB-C smart charger that can be used, sorry for the glare there, used with a variety of USB power sources, or you can choose a separate 3S 1300 to 2200 milliamp battery and compatible charger you prefer. So there you go. You can buy their power stage bundle or use yours, but you probably want to use a Spectrum battery, whether it's the Generation 2 battery or the Generation 1. G2 means Generation 2. Generation 2 batteries charge and everything kind of runs off of the main plug. There's no balance plug coming off of the G2 batteries. Like your standard, excuse me for sliding around, your standard lithium polymers all have a balance plug coming off of them. That's a 3S battery right there, 2200. Let me turn on my flash. Sorry for the professionalism. There's a 3S LiPo here. There's your balance plug. There's your main connector. All these have a balance plug on them. So, yeah. These would be like your Gen 1 batteries. And the Gen 2, excuse the noisy chair, does not have a balance plug. It's kind of like a Traxxas battery where it has that third wire coming off of the battery going up to your plug up here. So the Gen 1 batteries don't have that third wire. Gen 2s do. So there we go on that. Moving on to our next big side panel of the box with pictures and writing and all that other good nonsense. Hobbyzone Aeroscout S2 1.1 meter, perfect trainer for the beginner pilot. That is us once again. Nice picture of our plane right here, flying through some Midwest farm field, I'm sure. Look at the underside of the plane. Looks pretty darn good. See our servo mounts down there going to our ailerons, our little teeny-weeny pusher prop at the back, nose wheel at the front, which actually turns left and right. We've got our elevators at the back. I believe those are called elevators at the back. Tail rudder at the back for turning left and right. I could be wrong on all this stuff. I'm sure somebody's going to chime in here and tell me just how wrong I am. Learn to fly successfully. Welcome to the world of RC, radio-controlled flight. If you've ever dreamed of taking to the skies, Horizon Hobbies has you covered. We are committed to engineering aircraft that you can learn to fly with successfully, even if you've never flown an RC before. Every aircraft we offer features industry-leading design and technology developed by experts to keep you in control and learning at your own pace so you can turn your dreams of flight into a reality. Awesome. Learn to fly successfully. Horizon Hobby, designed, built, and backed, established in 1985. Once again, we established that earlier on the other side of the box. Perfect trainer, showing off some dimensions right here and some weights. 30.1 ounce or 853 grams with the 3S 2200 milliamp battery. That's interesting that they're weighing it with the 3S battery, or the 2200 milliamp battery, and not the 1300 milliamp battery. Anyhow. Here is our total length right there, 34.3 inches or 870 millimeters from nose to tail. Width, total width is 43.1 inches or 1,095 millimeters from end to end. So I guess it's not quite 1.1 meters or 1,100 millimeters if you're showing 1,095 millimeters from end to end or side to side. The perfect trainer, the Hobbyzone Aeroscout S2 1.1 meter. A little bit more separation there between our R2 and our 1.1 meter. So maybe that's Aeroscout S. What's the 2 stand for? Version 2? Generation 2? I'm not sure on any of this crap. 1.1 meter makes learning to fly an RC radio-controlled airplane more fun and easier than before. Once again, it's a perfect trainer because it's very durable and is equipped with exclusive safe technology, which is sensor-assisted flight envelope. Safe sensor-assisted flight envelope. Technology that helps prevent over-control, loss of orientation, and crashes so nearly everyone can learn to fly successfully. It also features beginner, intermediate, and experienced flight modes, so you can choose the level of stability and control you need at a flip of a switch. The pusher power configuration and EPO construction make it more durable than other similar class models. Tricycle landing gear with oversized tires and steerable nose wheel make it easy to take off from and land on a wide variety of surfaces, from pavement to grass. You can also install optional floats sold separately to fly from ponds and lakes. So that's pretty cool that you can get the floats for it as well. I'm sure adding the weight from the floats might change the way this thing handles in the air, but once again, I'm not an airplane expert. I'm just guessing on that. Spectrum DXS transmitter, ready to fly, basic version only, and receiver with 2.4 gigahertz DSMX technology. So once again, ready to fly version comes with the DXS transmitter and the receiver. Bind and fly only comes with a receiver, no transmitter. Powerful and efficient brushless power system pre-installed. Safe technology. Once again, exclusive safe technology makes it easy to learn to fly successfully. Pusher configuration on the prop to protect the motor and propeller. 3 flight modes. Beginner, intermediate, and experienced flight modes at the flip of a switch. Very durable, advanced EPO construction. Once again, I don't know what EPO stands for. I wish they would put a description down here below their abbreviation. I would think elastic polymer, but I could be totally wrong on that. Full 4-channel control for training to aerobatic flight capability. Now, I would think that would be full 4-channel control from training to aerobatic flight capability, and not for training to aerobatic flight capability. But I could be wrong. Quick and easy assembly, no glue or special tools required. All right, so that is everything that we have on this side of the box. Let's check out the other sides. Checking out our next box side and everything that it's got to say. Horizon Hobby is a world leader in RC fun. Every product we make is driven by industry-leading innovation and engineering and backed by exceptional customer service and support. Safe. Learn to fly successfully with safe technology. If this is your first RC airplane, Horizon Hobby's exclusive safe sensor-assisted flight envelope technology prevents overcontrol and crashing while also offering multiple flight modes to deliver more control and capabilities as your skills progress. 3 different flight modes: beginner, intermediate, experienced. Beginner mode, you have limited pitch forward and backwards as well as roll left to right. Intermediate gives you a little bit more pitch, a little bit more roll. Experienced, you've got no limits, so full pitch, full roll. You can fly upside down, do aerobatic maneuvers and things of that nature. Beginner mode, if you get into a panic, you can let off on the sticks and the plane will self-level itself out and you can just steer your way through the air. Intermediate mode does not have that, so if you get into a panic, you'll have to hit the panic recovery button or flip it back into beginner mode. So let's start reading about some of that stuff. Beginner mode. In this flight mode, the airplane has pitch and bank angle limits to prevent overcontrol that can result in a loss of orientation and crashes. When the control sticks are released, the airplane automatically returns to level flight on its own, allowing you to relax and just steer the airplane through the air. This flight mode also makes it easier to take off, launch, and land. So easier to take off, launch, and land in beginner mode. And once again, if you panic, you can just let go of the sticks and the plane will level itself out and you can just steer it through the air. Intermediate mode. This flight mode allows more freedom in pitch and bank, but still prevents significant overcontrol, and the airplane does not return to level flight on its own. This allows you to make tighter turns and climb and descend faster as your skills advance. Once again, does not return to level control if you let go of the sticks. So if you get into a panic, you can flip it back into beginner mode, let go of the sticks, and it'll regain control. It'll level itself out. Otherwise, it gives you just a little bit more control without automatically leveling the plane. Experience mode, there's no pitch or bank angle limits. You have complete control. You can fly inverted, upside down, and perform aerobatic maneuvers, including loops, rolls, and more. So once again, beginner mode, intermediate mode, experience mode. If you get into a panic in either one of these modes, you can flip it into beginner mode, let go of the sticks, the plane will level out, as well as hitting the panic recovery button for panic recovery mode, which is over here, panic recovery mode. If you lose control of the airplane in the intermediate or experienced flight mode, simply press the panic recovery button or switch to beginner mode and release the control sticks. Safe technology will automatically return the airplane to level flight. Orientation is lost. Hit the panic recovery mode button. Recover to level altitude. All right, so there we go. Hobbyzone Aeroscout S2 1.1 meter, the perfect trainer for the beginner pilot. All right, let's check out the other sides of the box and see if there's anything else to be seen on this thing. Check out our last half of the box, which is the bottom half of the box. Not much to see here, even though there's a lot to be seen on the bottom half of the box here. There's really not much to be seen. Hobbyzone Aeroscout S2 1.1 meter, once again, perfect trainer for the beginner pilot, which is us. 3 different languages here, all saying the same thing. I imagine it's pretty much everything that we just read off on the other halves of the box. DE, I'm not sure what language this is. I'm sure it looks like German to me. Whether that's Deutsch, I'm not sure. It probably doesn't stand for Dutch. I'm probably looking like an idiot here, but it looks like German. I could be wrong on that. Second one, that's French, FR. Lee Hobbyzone. So that's all written in French. Third one, IT, I believe this is Italian. Italian. For all this. And then over here on the side, we've got some age recommendations. Not recommended for kids under 14 years of age, children under 14. This is not a toy. It says that in a few different languages. 2022 Horizon Hobbies LLC, Hobbyzone, and blah, 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 blah. Logo, trademark stuff right here. Warnings. This product may, blah, 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 cancer, probably, blah, 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 California, I'm sure. All right, there we go. So that's the last portion of the box right there is that bottom edge. And now we can flip this baby open and see what she looks like on the inside. Now I have no idea which end of the box is which. I'm usually wrong when it comes to opening up boxes here. What's up, baby girl? I'm usually wrong about this stuff. I believe that this is the front half of the box right here. It's got the most vehicle description on it. We've got what's included pointing around to this side of the box. Skill level 1 right here on the corner. Our Horizon Hobbies over there. Real Flight Simulator over there on the side. So I think that this is the front half of the box right there. Which once again makes me think that this side right here, bless you, is the side to open up. So we'll go ahead here and crack this side open and cross our fingers and see if that's the right side or not. What's up there, baby girl? You got the right side to open up? That one right there? You got some sleepies in your eyes. Yeah, 5 o'clock in the morning, honey, so you're allowed to have sleepies in your eyes. Alright, so we'll go ahead here and get that side of the box opened up. Maybe we're right, maybe we're wrong. We'll see if that's the right side or not. I'll put baby girl here back on the couch. Puppy sitting duties, you know how that goes. I got a little brother down there. Alright, let's cross our fingers here. Hopefully we got the right side. Crack her open and see what happens. Surprised there's no tape on this. Usually you have to cut through some tape to get this open, or get a box open. No tape on that. You hear the natives are restless in the background. Looks like we're opening up sideways. Well, I guess this is the top of the box and not the front of the box. We've got a manual right here. Has a rip on the bottom of it right there, last page. Ripping it from however somebody had it packaged in there. Some are folded on the corner as well. Support the bottom of the package there. Alright, so here we go with the airplane. Looking up the fuselage. We've got a wing section right here. Another wing section right there. A propeller, fuselage probably, transmitter, tail rudder, not rotor, rudder. Little toolkit there. So we'll go ahead here and set this baby on the bench. Bless you. Excuse me. Get our box out of the way. Get our camera off the tripod and move in and get a closer look at it. Looks cool though. Alright, boys and girls, I think I've got everything kind of laid out so you can see what's going on and I can see what's going on as we get our plane kind of somewhat put together here. Once again, keep in mind, this is just a show and tell for my viewers. I know absolutely nothing about RC airplanes. I know a little bit about this RC airplane because I did all kinds of research on it, but otherwise, I don't know much about RC airplanes, so I'm not the person to talk to. I know a lot about RC cars. I'm not like a professional, but I know a lot about RC cars, terra firma, boats, custom modifying, all the above. But airplanes, this is kind of a new thing for me. And once again, this is all revolving around this new Rock Hobbies, FMS Hobbies, 1/6 scale, MB scalar military Jeep over there, wanting to get a Warbird to go along with that. P-51 Mustang, Corsair, something along those lines. But you gotta learn how to fly somewhere once again, so hence the Aeroscout. So, not a professional build by any means, so, you know, don't pass judgment on me for it. The people who are interested in this vehicle, I highly suggest that you read the manual, go through this thing from top to bottom. There's only 27 pages in here that you need to be concerned about for you English-speaking folks. 27 pages in English. The last 2 pages are nothing but warranty information. But a lot of great information in here. Your parts, replacement parts, optional parts, FAA information, AMA information, National Model Aircraft Safety Code stuff, how to launch the airplane, what your controls do. A lot of great information. You have to read this. It's a must read. Alright, so let's start getting everything untaped here and ready to go and pull some parts out. I think we'll start off with the transmitter because this is kind of precarious right here, sitting in here upside down. So we'll pull our transmitter out here first and get a look at that gingerly here. There's a couple foam stays right there holding it in place. formed around the transmitter antenna. And that's pretty hefty. It's a lot bigger than what I was expecting. That's a handful. I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere. But that's pretty bulky as far as transmitters go. And I learned, I think this is our dual rate right here. This is our motor shut off right here from what I've read. Motor kill. And you always want to make sure to shut that off when you have your vehicle on the bench and the battery is plugged into it. That way you're not going to turn into an upside down lawnmower. This is our 3-position switch for beginner, intermediate, and experience mode. Panic button right up there. It's also the bind button as well from what I've read. Pretty nice transmitter really for a basic thrown-in transmitter. I'm not too sure how many channels this is. I want to say it might be 7, but I could be wrong with that. Definitely 6 or 7. Reading some information across the bottom of it to see if it tells me anything on that. But DXS Spectrum transmitter. And we're running on 4 AA's across the inside back here. And we've got a couple ports on the back as well back here. I'm sure one is the dongle for the real flight simulator, as well as another port. I'm sure that is for flying with a trainer, with somebody else who's got another transmitter. You're plugged into their transmitter and they can take over if you mess up or panic. So there's a look at our transmitter. It's not too bad in all reality. There's a spot on here to connect the lanyard if you want to have a neck strap going to it. So yeah, there we go. Left stick is dead. It's always like a dead stick as far as airplanes go. That's because that's your throttle. And then this would be your tail rudder, left and right. And this would be your flaps up and down, or your elevator up and down, not your flaps, but your elevator. So just like a real airplane, pulling back on the yoke means you're pulling up and you're going up in the air, pushing down, pushing forward on the yoke is flying downward. Then left and right would be your ailerons on your wings, left to right, so you'd be rolling the airplane over, like barrel rolling, left to right. And this is your tail rudder, left to right, which is the fin on the back, right here. Once again, your throttle up and down. You want to make sure that your throttle's in the down position when you toggle your switch off and set everything on the bench, apparently, from what I've read, for your motor kill. Alright, so there's a peek at our transmitter. Once again, this is just a show and tell, boys and girls, and anything else. We've got a little bit of a toolkit up in here. We'll pull that out of there. Maybe we can get past the tape. Snake it past the tape. There's a small Phillips screwdriver in here. A couple of our screw-in pins to attach our wing that are in here. 3 pins or 3 screws. A couple Allen wrenches. And some hook and loop tape right here. So hook and loop tape, I believe, goes on your battery that you're going to put on the bottom side of your battery so you can stick it inside the plane, as well as a Velcro strap, from my understanding. And then we've got a bind plug, and once again our 3 screws to attach the wing. I think there's some AA batteries up in here as well. We might have to just go ahead here and cut this tape. Might as well. We're here. We're keeping the plane. It's not like we're returning it. You can always put more tape in there. And we've got 4 AA batteries for the transmitter that they were nice enough to include. Heavy duty, high watt battery, supposedly is what it says. 0 mercury, 0 cadmium. Easier said than read. Alright, easier read than said, I should say. Next bit of tape, we got a piece of tape here running across these 2 points. We might as well get that cut out of the way safely. It's hard to tell what's airplane and what's container when it comes to this stuff, because the airplane is almost the same color foam as the container. This little bit of tape is holding quite a bit of stuff here. Got some parts flying out here, landing gear. All right, so this part right here is our nose wheel for the airplane. fits in a sealed bag, so we'll have to cut that out of there, get her free. But that is our nose wheel. Here's one of our tail wheels there, our main wheels. And the other one. And the nose of our aircraft down there. Now there's supposed to be a quick start guide included with this thing, and I did not see a quick start guide anywhere. We've got our stays right here. These are both made of both square. One smaller diameter, then larger diameter. Smaller diameter, which is longer, is used on the tail section, which we'll get to. And the shorter one is used for the main wing. The fatter one is used for the main wing, from what I understand. We've got one of our tail wings right there. This side up. This would be the left side wing over here on the left side, driver's side. Stickers go up. The other one right there. This would be the right side. So left side and right side on the tail. Pull out a wing. Try not to damage it, try not to dent it. You have a left wing right here. Or right wing, sorry, right wing. Passenger side. Little micro servo installed right here. And our wires coming out right here, leading down below. We have to make sure we're going to run our stay through this little spot right here, and we have to make sure it took our wires down. So let's pull this in a little bit closer so you can see what we're looking at here. A picture of our little mini servo. Maybe we're catching it on camera, maybe we're not. The camera's kind of out of my view. I'm sorry about the lighting, brightness and whatnot. Here's our S connector coming off of our lead off of our servo, and this square notch right here is the spot where we're going to slide that stay through. So this is the right hand side wing right here. And then same thing again, but with our left hand side wing. From what I understand, it doesn't matter what lead goes into what line on the plane inside the fuselage. It's basically just going into a Y splitter for these two. So there's two wires coming out, and it doesn't matter which one goes into which, supposedly, from what I've seen on other people's unboxing videos. Alright, well, we've got our main fuselage area right here. There she is, light as a feather. It's a lot bigger than what I thought. That's for sure. Another little notch back here, square notch for that rear stay to go in place. Motor is pretty small. Outrunner, brushless outrunner. And there is the two S connectors here leading into our receiver for our wings there for the ailerons. Now there's another lead coming off of here as well, right here. I'm not too sure what that's for. I'm going to have to read our manual what that one's for. One single yellow lead there. Checking out the receiver on it. It's a nice Spectrum receiver. AR631, I'd imagine it's a 6-channel. The fact that it's got 6 on there. A little bit of wood on the inside as well, wedged in between the foam. We've got a metal interference thing there. Interference eliminator sleeve dealy deal there. I noticed that they do that a little bit there with even on the Vetera products through Horizon Hobbies. They've got these things on the motor wires as well to eliminate interference. So our cab portion, your windshield, should be magnetically held in place. And the front nose part kind of fits into a notch, so we're just picking up on this and pulling out and away. little key air flash on here and get a better look at this. I'm not too sure how we're looking here. Key air flash on, there we go. So looking inside it, little piece of hook and loop set right down here. And once again, they gave us some in our package to put on the bottom half of the battery. 2 servos right there. We have to make sure when we install our battery that we don't get it too close to those, so those don't run into the battery and poke holes in the battery. The ends of the servo horn with these little bits of wire sticking through. There's a bind plug sitting right here. It says bind plug on it. I'm sorry for the view. Here's our EC3 or IC3 connector that goes to the battery. A little bit of wood down in here as well. There's that little magnetic, well, not magnetic, but interference thing. Not sure what the heck that thing's called off the top of my mind right now. Yeah, I shot at a receiver. Camera's not liking that. I apologize. Not professional. Turn up the brightness a little bit. Anyways, AR-631 supposedly. And a little shot of our brushless outrunner, which is not focusing in on either. What's going on with this camera? So a little brushless outrunner on there. Not much to it. And this is for our servo leading out to the nose wheel. And we'll be attaching that via the screw and the flat spot on the wheel. Our rear landing gear will be sliding in on either side through here and snaps into place on the inside in here. Now on all the videos I've watched, nobody's shown them unsnapping the landing gear. So I'm not too sure if that's supposed to become undone or not, but we'll find out here in a minute. As far as our nose cowling battery cover goes, little notch on the front fits into the nose over here. Rare earth magnet right up here, and a corresponding magnet right there. And it's pretty strong. Pretty strong pull from what I've noticed. You almost need to put your finger up here to slow it down as it's coming into contact. You definitely need to put your finger on the other half of the fuselage to separate it off of there. It's got a pretty good hold on it, there's no doubt about it. I don't think there's any chance of really losing that thing on impact. Alright, so there's a nice shot of our airplane. Might be fun to cruise around in the snow on a powdery, snowy field, something that's just like a big farm field that's just a complete blanket of powder on top with no landing gear. Might be kind of cool to boat the plane around and fly around through the snow on the surface. Alright, well there we go on that nonsense. We need to get our spars here and reattach our wings or attach our wings. It's a good looking bird. I like it. It's a cool plane so far. Excuse me for scratching my nose there. I had a little bit of an itch. Kids, be careful with knives. If you're not a careful kid, have your parents do this for you. This knife is dull, so that makes things even a little bit more on the dangerous side. Using a dull knife. So one of our landing gear wheels right here. Metal, kind of thin. Tires made of foam. No bearings. Not balanced or true. The foam kind of wobbles up and down a little bit. But not much to it, really. Pretty thin metal. Sorry for the poor lighting. Foam tires. Relatively big in diameter. About the size of a Hornet front tire. From an old Tamiya Hornet. Or buggy tire. So there's a peek at one of our tires. One of our rear wheels. We're going to have to flip this baby upside down to get all this stuff assembled. I'm not too sure if there's a left and a right on these wheels. That's where reading your instructions would help. spins a little bit freer. I need to put some kind of lubricant on there, like maybe some graphite or something. Get it moving a little bit easier. Alright, both our rear wheels. Get our front wheel open. That one spins a little bit better, but as far as being out around, I think that's the worst one. You can paint some stripes on there and hypnotize somebody with that. Alright, so there's our nose wheel. It has a little notch right here on this side to line up with the notch on our servo down there. So we'll get that put in place when the time comes here. Grab our little tool kit, hold down screws, and hook and loop for the battery. I'm not too sure if I want to put any, I might opt for a bigger battery on this thing, so the hook and loop tape, pretty big piece, a couple inches long. I might cut this in half and divide it between like 2 batteries per se, instead of just one. Small Phillips screwdriver. Once again, a couple Allen wrenches and our 3 pins to hold the wings down. That'd be to hold the main wings down. One here on either side, and I think one going through the back, through the center right here. Those actually get screwed into these 2 points. The wings will go into here, into this plastic block, and at the very back, there's one pin that goes through here, through both of the rear wings together. They're basically like interlocking, sliding together like this, and the pins going through both of them at the same time, and locking in back here. From what I can see. Alright, we'll grab our little spars here. I believe that's what they're called, spars. I don't know what these are made out of. Kind of feels like carbon fiber or some kind of material. Could be wrong. Might just be some cheap plastic for all I know. Not sure. One's for the tail, one's for the main wing. I don't know what side I want to start on first here. We should flip it upside down, and maybe we should just do the tail section first. Or maybe we should put the wheels on it first. I think they show putting the wheels on it first in all reality, from the ones I've seen on other people's videos, with snapping the wheels in place and getting that stuff put in place. Once again, I don't think there's a left and a right here with the wheels. I think they're both about the same. So we'll feed those through and snap them in. Yeah, that one snapped in. I assume you just push down in here with a screwdriver or something to release that. If you had to replace your fuselage at some point in time for some horrible reason. I imagine you want to recycle your parts. And now it snaps in. Okay, so our rear wheels are attached, and that's a pretty big spread across there. That's a huge spread across there. On our landing gear. Not too sure how far apart that is. We can find out. For those who want to know, inquiring minds want to know. What do we got here? Inside to inside, we are roughly 12.5 inches from inside to inside. Outside to outside, just a little over 14 inches from outside to outside. That's a pretty big spread on that. Pretty big spread. Once again, I think we could use a flat blade screwdriver to pop those apart, but I could be wrong. Hopefully I don't damage the aircraft in the process here. Make sure we have a nice flat surface of sorts. Making sure we don't break our tail rudder off. Let's see here. Yeah, push down on this. There we go. And we can pull it right back out. So flat blade screwdriver, pushing in on that to release it. Back in place. So there we go, boys and girls. I don't think anybody's really shown that. Flat blade screwdriver, easy release on our wheels. I kind of wondered about that. With that open gap. Alright, so our wing spar here, I believe they show putting it in on our left side here first. Once again, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Consult your manual, Jim, you fool, before you go any further. Like I said, I've seen this on a couple other videos. People were starting with the left side first with their putting the spar in place. So maybe we'll take a peek at the manual real quick. Well, they showed the landing gear getting in, put in place first, and the nose wheel put in place. Yes, they are showing the spar going into the right side rear wing, which is the side we're going to start on, passenger side. This one back here. Sliding the spar through the tail section, and then sliding the other half in place. Okay, there we go on that. We'll mark our page. Get our spar put in place. Slide it in here until it stops. Just stop right there. And we'll go through the corresponding spot on the tail, which I'm sure is like a servo horn of sorts. They actually say to put a little bit of dish detergent on this as you're sliding it through to make it easier. It's definitely a tough slide initially, trying to get that fed in there. Trying to put nice even pressure on either side so I don't break anything here. That's a lot of pressure. No doubt about that. That is a lot of pressure being applied. So I could see how putting some dish detergent on this would be helpful. Hopefully we're catching this on video. I think you definitely want something on there to ease its travels on the way through there. Well, I'd have to go in the house here to get dish detergent. Maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. It's a good thing we got a towel on the bench. My hands just don't slide off the thing. There we go. It's being foam. I'm trying not to break it. That's a tight push. No doubt about it. Man. I almost think you want to pull that off of there a little bit before you start doing that. That way you don't damage the wing in the process. We have to push this in a little bit further. Really don't want to damage the wing, so I'm going to try to pull it through the rest of the way on this side. Maybe, perhaps, I don't know. Wow, that's a tough pull. Trying to put my thumb behind it like this, and then pushing against my thumb with my other thumb and trying to pull it in that way to make contact. I think we're pretty close to where we need to be. But that's pretty tough. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. The other guy that did it on video slid it in there much easier. I'm sure he must have lubed that one up. Ours was a tight fit. That's how it goes sometimes. Some are tighter than others, right? All right, so here's our other wing half right there. We'll get that slid in to our little square right there, receiving end. Yep, there we go. And our rear wing is attached. Pretty easy, all in all. Same thing with our front wing. top wing, main wing. We want to start over here on this side, apparently. Slide this in until it stops. And then join it with the other half. Once again, we need to connect our wires to our servo wires right here before we get this put in place. But we also need to put our nose wheel on too, and I forgot to do that because I'm a total idiot. So let's put our nose wheel on maybe before we get too far ahead here with everything else. We'll spin this down over here and get it kind of out of the way. Try not to damage our tail section. Once again, not a professional, as you can see. And I'm sure we have to back this out. Yes, we are. Now they said that that was supposed to be a Phillips head screw right here on this end, but what I'm seeing is a Allen screw. I'm seeing a metric over here. So not a Phillips by any means. That is definitely a metric. Hex wrench is what that is. Your traditional M3 style, which is what, 2 millimeter? Yes, a 2.0, 2 millimeter hex on here. Yep, that's what it is for our nose wheel. So they must have changed that out in the future from the initial first couple planes. Oh, there we go. Starting out slow, making sure we're getting it into the detent. It's sitting flat on the detent. There we go, it's straightening itself out. I'm going to put a little bit of torque on that just because it's landing gear and you don't want that to come out. So there we go. Our landing gear is put in place. Seems pretty solid, relatively. I've heard stories about the landing gear being a little bit sloppy and people putting washers in there to stiffen things up a little bit. But at the same time, you know, you want things to have a little bit of movement. It's got to have a little bit of give here and there, right? So right now we are tail heavy. Keep dropping back until we get our wings put on there, I suppose. Alright, well, let's get our wing put together, finish up that process. Once again, I'm not professional, boys and girls. Nor do I claim to be on this portion. It's my first time putting an airplane together. It's going together pretty easy, though, for a first-timer. Rear wing joins together nicely the way this back half overlaps with the other corresponding pieces. Right through here. One part overlaps the other part and they slide together. Pretty nice little fit. Our screws go through these holes there. The servo wires hanging out. Hopefully we caught that on tape. The way that all slides together there. Not bad. Pretty clean. Cleanly done. Once again, it doesn't matter which way we plug our wires in down here. Apparently. As long as we get our polarity right. Different colored wires. We've got yellow, red, and brown, and black, white, and red. We want our brown lining up with the black wire. The brown is our ground wire. Yellow wire up here is our signal wire. Red wire is positive. So brown is ground, red is positive, white or yellow is signal. On our other leads here, black is negative, red is positive, and white is signal. So brown to black, that's all you gotta know. Or white to yellow. And you'll have that plugged in the right direction. There we go. We've got that plugged in. Hopefully, it doesn't matter where this is sitting at. Maybe we'll try to get that position back here. This block. I'm sure that's got to be sitting somewhere. I'm sure that's going to affect the balance of the plane, wouldn't you think? That block right there. Maybe we ought to consult our manual and see if we're putting that in the right position before we get everything held down. Seems to be a little bit heavy to the back side still. even with the wing on there. Riding a wheelie. Alright, let's check our manual here real quick and check our time while we're at it here. What are we at? 21:08. Alright, so I had to restart another video there. We're exceeding our time limit. 21:08 on our time. Alright, page 5 is what we're on right now. We're going to go on to page 6, which talks about assembling our wing section, getting that put in place. Yep, connect the aileron servo leads to the wire harness installed in channel 2 on the receiver. Center the wing on the fuselage. Ensure the aileron leads are not pinched between the wing and the fuselage. Attach the wing with the 50mm screws. Do not over tighten the wing screws. They may damage the attachment points. Now they say as the first couple times that you install these wing screws, it's going to be, it might be kind of tough. But once again, they said don't damage it, don't over tighten things. We're not mentioning anything about that block and where to position that inside here, and as to whether or not that's going to cause any interference on anything as far as weight transfer goes, but I'm sure it would. We're talking about balancing our balance points here on the wings for the airplane right here. But I'm guessing, and they're showing putting our battery in place right here, and where to balance that at, but you're not supposed to store your battery inside your vehicle, right? Let's see how much that battery makes a difference in here. Our little Spectrum 1300 milliamp battery. Yeah, it makes a difference. It definitely brings enough weight to the back of it. As far as where to put it, that's a different story. Which way to run the wires in here. I don't think they really give you a suggestion as to what direction to put the battery in here. They do not. My apologies, boys and girls. We had a camera snafu there. Something went awry and she stopped recording. That's part of the problem with recording by yourself is you don't really know when the camera shuts off. So the camera shut off when we were talking about the battery. I was wondering about where to position the battery inside the fuselage here with our hook and loop tape. They do have a relatively healthy swath of hook and loop tape going from here to here, from point to point inside the fuselage. So you can position your battery in there somewhere as to balance it out. Once again, there is balance points underneath the wings if you hold everything just right and you have your wing attached to get that thing all set where it needs to be. Now, one thing that was a question in my mind was where to put this little barrel noise resistor thing right here, whatever this is. It's a pretty heavy weight right there. And the thoughts as to where to put that at. Common sense tells me to put it right up here up front. But we've got a receiver sitting right here. So we could either set this behind the receiver, between the receiver and our rear wing mount right back here, or we could put it right across here, just behind our front wing mount area. We've got our 2 screw holes right here for the front of the wing and 1 screw hole back here for the back of the wing. That's what I was talking about with the wing mounts. Common sense is telling me to put it right here in the front, although it's going to be resting on our leads here that are going in and out of our receiver for the servos. So that's a little bit of a bummer that it's resting there, but once again, it doesn't tell you in the manual where to put this at, and I don't think anybody else's videos online have talked about that. But I'm going to set it right here in this area, and I'm going to run the wires right down the side. So the barrel is going to be sitting in front, just like this. We're catching it right up in front like that. I'm going to run the wires down the one side of the receiver, down the right side of the receiver. And try not to keep the wires, or try not to pinch the wires in the process. We'll run it down the left side of the receiver. Whatever side is convenient. Whatever side works. Hopefully your camera's still working. It's a real problem. Alright, so we're putting the barrel in front, and we're going to run the wires down the left hand side here on the driver's side of the receiver. And yeah, there we go. Something like that. Hopefully our camera's still working. We got our little hold down screws here. Get those put in place, 3 of those. One at the back. One on either side in the front. Perhaps. That one's not dropping in so freely. These just kind of dropped on down to a certain point. And there we go, a little bit tight. I say just to snug these down, don't over tighten them. I'm the king of over tightening, so I'm just snugging them down. Alright, so our wing is attached, our wires aren't pinched, everything is looking good. Last step, once again, is our battery, trying to get that placed in the right spot inside our fuselage. Trying to get it in a spot where it's not going to hit anything. We've got this bind wire sitting right here hanging out. And I think I'm going to shove this thing right back into this other hole. There's another hole in the fuselage right here. I seem to remember some other people doing the same thing. So this is not my idea here. I've seen that on another channel somewhere, as I recall, watching videos on this thing. People were shoving that bind wire right into this spot right here. Trying to get that up and out of the way. Trying to push that bind sticker in that hole a little bit further. Maybe it'll help anchor it in place. Keep it out of the way. Alright, so that's back there. Battery, not too sure where that's going to sit at right at the moment. We need to put some transmitter batteries in our transmitter, and I was going to say key this thing on real quick and find a balance point. Only reason I'm thinking about keying it on is so that I can actually connect the battery. Well, my apologies again, boys and girls. We had another camera snafu. Camera straight, locked up, shut right on down, and lost where we were at. So we were messing around with the balance here with our battery, is where we were left off at, and we were attaching our wing and getting all that put in place. So we just got our wing attached once again. That little barrel connector, that noise separator deal we put right here in the front once again, just behind our supports to bring the weight as far forward as we possibly could. Battery, we couldn't get the weight quite forward as far as we needed to have, or as far as we need to have it to get things balanced on our little balance points. I've got the battery as far forward as I could possibly get, with our positive and negative wires coming off the back of the battery back here versus off the front. So we can get this as far forward as we possibly can. But we've got limited space with our nose cone here and trying to get this put in place with hitting our battery. So we can't have it too far forward, or we can't put our cone on. Or we can't put the windshield portion on. So getting this into a position where we can put it on there, even if we jiggle the battery forward as far as we can, our center of gravity is not right. We put our fingers on our little points back here on the wings. It's really leaning backwards quite a bit. A little bit too far, I think, in my opinion. I don't know. I've never flown before, so maybe that's right. But in my eyes, I think that's leaning backwards a little bit too far right there. So I think I need a bigger battery for it, is the ultimate, is the end result here. I bought the 1300 milliamp pack thinking that that would be okay, but I should have, went big or went home. I usually go with the go big or go home attitude on things, but I thought I'd be okay with this one to start off with. So I think I need to step it up to the 2200 milliamp pack and see how that works. But otherwise, we're pretty much good to go, and we can try testing our control surfaces here and make sure everything works out okay. Just our balance is off right now. I'm not going to bother putting a piece of Velcro on this right now because I don't know if I'm sure if I'm going to use this in flight for the first flight or not, just because we can't get the balance quite right with it. So I don't think I'm going to waste my time putting Velcro on this battery at the moment. Once again, just because I think we're going to be going to a bigger battery here in the future. Alright, so before we turn this on, we are going to install some batteries into our transmitter and get our transmitter turned on first and get our throttle stick put in the downward position and make sure that our motor is shut off. Make sure that we can it's set in the off position and we're reading things correctly here on our switches. Alright, so they gave us some included batteries, but I'm going to use some other batteries that we've already got opened up and out of the package. Pay no attention to brand names here. I'm just using what I happen to have on hand. The brand that we use all the time, not being sponsored by anybody. Have our batteries installed correctly, making sure to follow the polarity correctly, positive to positive, negative to negative. Spring side goes on the flat side of the battery. Post part on the battery goes onto the flat side of the connector, the tab. Make sure our transmitter is in the down position. All the trim settings should be set up right out of the gate. From what I've read in the manual and from what I've seen online, all our trim settings should be pretty much set up right out of the box. So you don't have to do anything. And I believe we just turned that on. Yep, we did. I can see an orange light on right here. If we shut off some lights, maybe we can see that a little bit better. Hoping that my camera's still on over here. So that is on. Making sure that this switch is in the downward position back here, which I think is shutting our motor off. Pretty sure that's shutting our motor off. Either way, we're making sure our throttle is in the down position. Our other switches up here in the beginner position. We get our battery hooked up to our receiver for ESC. And we're live there. Wings are doing their thing. Everything's checking out. Now, since we have this in safe mode, we actually can see our battery life and everything else right there as well. Since we have it in safe mode, if we start moving this thing around, I think this little automatic gyro should start making corrections with our wings, with our ailerons. It is making little corrections. That's pretty cool. That is the safe technology right there working. We start to roll this thing over. The ailerons are making corrections right now, little micro corrections, and moving up and down. That's pretty neat. Our tail should be moving as well. I can't tell if the tail's moving or not. Yes, it is. Very slightly, but it's definitely moving. And the ailerons are moving. That's cool. That's definitely cool. I'm just moving ailerons left to right, and if the tail is moving as well, the tail rudder is moving a little bit left to right with the ailerons. Noticing that right off the bat. Up and down on our elevators. So that would be pulling up. That would be going down. Roll left, roll right. And this should be our tail rudder to the left and to the right. Yes, it is. There we go on that. Only other thing to do would be to check our throttle here and make sure that that's working okay. I got a little puppy dog here bugging me. You want to go outside there, baby girl? Yes, you do. Okay, and we're going to check our throttle out. Once again, we're checking out our auto corrections there and making sure everything was working okay, which is working out okay from what I can see. I don't know if we're catching that on camera or not, but if we roll right or left, you can see the ailerons moving here. This one's moving down and this one's moving up to auto correct for our mistakes. Same thing with the tail flap there, elevator back here. Should be moving up and down slightly. Correct for our elevation changes here. As much as possible anyway, so that's pretty cool. It is pretty neat. Once again, being new to aircraft, that's kind of a new thing for me to see that. So it's pretty neat that it does that. And our battery is too far forward. We can't get our nose going on. There we go. Alright, so we're going to check out our throttle once again. I'm sure I'm going to get the dogs barking here as I turn this thing into arm our motor, which is what I just did right here by flipping the switch forward, was arming the motor. Once again, we've got it in beginner mode right now. I'm going to switch this up to wide open mode. Check our control surfaces again. Shut our motor back off just to make sure. Yeah, much faster. No doubt about it. Way faster. Let's slow that back down and put this into intermediate mode. I've got our rate turned up as well, which is right here. I've got that turned up on high. This is a seventh channel switch apparently, so you don't need to worry about that. Got a dog barking at some crows. Pardon me. Let's slow this back down to beginner and see if that's equally as fast. It's still pretty fast. Equally as fast. It's just doesn't go as far. So still equally as quick, just doesn't go as far. Alright, so we just learned something new right there as far as that goes. And I'd imagine we're going to have the same throttle control on beginner as we would on expert as well, I would assume. Maybe the response time is different, I don't know. We might get a dog barking with this. I apologize ahead of time if it does. Got some thrust. I feel it pushing. Now, I do notice that the motor seems to be sitting in here a little bit sideways. I'm not sure if they do that on purpose. Maybe to correct the airplane. Maybe the airplane pulls to one side or another, so they got the motor clocked over there sideways a little bit. It's like leaning this way a little bit. The control surfaces are reacting to my movements there. She's got some good power. There's no doubt about that. You can feel she's got some shimmy and some shake going on. I can see that going down the tail section there as it was revving up. Maybe it was just the wind passing those surfaces. Well, that's interesting. Maybe it's creating a little bit of turbulence. Let's disarm our motor while I have my fingers near that thing. We got our throttle down. Oh, maybe that was in the arm position the whole time. It was. We had that thing armed the whole time. Alright, well, backwards like that is disarmed, and forward like that is armed. Mental note on that. Alright, so we are disarmed. Now once again, our nose wheel should be able to steer with our rudder. And yes, it is. I was watching the wings earlier, so I didn't really notice that was turning. So very cool across the board. Once again on that, we'll check out our thrust on camera. Maybe you guys can see what that tail section is doing here on camera. Hopefully it'll pick it up. I'll try to get closer. little bit of a wobble to it. Right there, it's wobbling pretty good. Puts out some wind, definitely has some thrust, no doubt about that. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive for that little pusher prop. Should have no problem getting off the ground. No doubt about that either. But there we go, boys and girls. There is a quick look at our new bird. Once again, trying to learn how to fly here, and that way we can move into a warbird eventually and get a Corsair or possibly a Mustang or something, or possibly both to go along with our Jeep over here. Maybe some other things to go along with it as well. I'd like to get a MASH helicopter, but good luck finding one of those. Korean War era style. I don't think they really make them. I haven't seen any anyways. Alright, so we've got our battery disconnected right there. We're going to have to put a balance charge on that while we're not using it. Shut our transmitter off. Shut our transmitter off. There we go. Had to hold down the button for a second apparently. And yeah, there we are. She's all together. Digging it, loving it. Awesome plane. Right out of the box, that is for sure. Definitely cool. Definitely cool. Alright, there we go, boys and girls. Hopefully you enjoyed my show and tell here with my new airplane. And channel subscribers, I hope you guys like the direction that we're going in here, trying to learn how to fly. Once again, I'm not going to force this airplane stuff down your throat. We'll have a couple of videos here and there. Maybe just a couple initial flight videos once again. So you can point fingers and laugh. And then maybe we'll have one or two videos after that, maybe with a set of floats on it. Have our airplane in a vehicle like a truck or something, and combine the two. You know, where we come in with an airplane on a lake or something, and then go to a vehicle, or start off in a vehicle and drive to the airplane on the lake and take off from there. Who knows? We'll come up with something. But you won't be seeing a whole bunch of air footage. That's the whole moral of the story. I'm not going to force this down your throat. This is just something I'm learning to do on the side to expand my RC horizons, so to speak, with a Horizon Hobbyzone airplane. Not being sponsored by anybody, but there we go. Definitely a cool little bird, that's for sure. All right, well, my apologies, boys and girls. Camera just locked up on us again. I seen the flash go off and come back on again. That's a telltale sign. This is a tough problem, or a tough thing to deal with when you're working by yourself. But otherwise, very much appreciated for y'all sticking around and watching the video. Can't thank you enough, boys and girls. Hopefully you enjoyed my show and tell here with the airplane. Definitely digging it. It's a cool new part to the channel. Once again, just learning how to fly to expand my RC horizons, so to speak. That way I can eventually work my way into a warbird, or possibly a couple of warbirds, to match my new Rock Hobbies, FMS Hobbies, 1/6 scale, MB scale, or Jeep over there, which is pretty darn cool. So, got to start out somewhere once again, and this is where we're starting out with. So, very much appreciated for y'all sticking around and watching the video, and we will see you all on the next one. Alright, excuse the camera views there, boys and girls, here on our channel. I had to do some first day mods to the Aeroscout in order to get this thing to balance out right. The center of gravity wasn't quite right on the plane. This is my first airplane, you know, on the channel here. So I'm not an expert. But from what I read, and from what I could tell, putting my fingers on the center of gravity points on the wings, this baby was just leaning back way far. Super far. When I held it up on the CG points and was looking at it on camera with my camera sitting in a tripod, the plane was hanging back like this, with my battery as far up in the nose as I could possibly get it. It was leaning back like that. Maybe not that far back, but kind of like that. Excuse me, I'm holding my camera a little bit sideways too, so that doesn't help out so much. It was hanging back quite a ways. And that was with the battery all the way in the nose. Now, you can only put the battery up so far before the canopy, this whole part of the canopy right here, starts to come into contact with the battery, and you can't get the canopy on. It just sits like this, and won't go down any lower. So I had to use some lead weight in the nose of this to get this to sit right. Now, initially, before I added the lead weight, if you were to lift up on the nose like this, it would just tilt right on back to the tail, and it would just sit back there on the tail. And now it's positively sitting on the nose. Now, once again, they had that barrel in here, that ferrite barrel or whatever that is, going around those servo wires.
I rerouted everything with that barrel, and I've got that barrel sitting right up here in front, and it's sitting underneath all our receiver wires. So our receiver is sitting right here. The wires are coming out of the back of it. So if you imagine this is the receiver, the wires are coming out of the back of the receiver. And I basically put that little ferrite bundle thing underneath that bundle of wires, so it's not going to crush them, it's not going to rip the wires out. And then I ran the wires next to the receiver, going out to our ailerons and the wings. So we got our two plugs coming out. They're basically that little ferrite plug, or whatchamacallit, that barrel is sitting right here in front of the receiver, so that's getting our weight even further forward, so that thing's got a little bit of weight to it. And then the wires are kind of, the two plugs are sitting right next to it. So it's all nice and neat, nothing's getting pinched, and it works out pretty good. Now, another thing I did here was something that I learned from Brian Phillips' channel during an unboxing video on his channel, which is 2 years old. But he talked about moving our elevator from this position right here on the servo horn, the inside position, to the outside position, which gives the elevator just a little bit more throw up and down. Now, I haven't even flown the plane yet. I just watched his unboxing video earlier today while I was, tinkering around with this thing, and was like, oh, no kidding. So it was a good idea, so I moved it over there. Once again, my first airplane here on the channel. Now, same thing here with our steering wheel and our rudder on the back, our tail rudder. This was a little bit off. The steering wheel, the front wheel was sitting a little bit to the left, and the rudder was like the opposite direction. So I had to come in here and loosen up these 2 points right here and readjust those. Now, mental note on this airplane, I just noticed this on other videos. I just did my unboxing video, right? This is the one we're working on right now. After watching Brian Phillips' video today, I noticed that I'm missing a lot of stuff here. So I don't know what plane I've got in comparison to the others. Now, I know there's a bind and fly version, right, with no battery. And I think this is the bind and fly, or the ready to fly basic, not bind and fly basic, but ready to fly basic. Because it comes with the vehicle, the plane, the transmitter, but no battery. There's no battery in this one. And there must be another one in between that comes with the battery. Now, I went on Tower Hobby's website, not being sponsored by anybody. I went on Tower's website, and I went on Horizon's website. And I didn't see that version of Aeroscout that came with the battery. All I seen was the bind and fly version with no transmitter, and then this version that came with the transmitter and no battery. So the one that Brian Phillips had on his channel had a 2200 milliamp 3S LiPo, and I bought the 1300 milliamp pack, thinking that that's what came with the plane, not realizing that the thinking that the 2200 was like an upgraded pack. I should have just got the 2200, really, instead of the 1300, because in all reality, the 2200 is actually $1 cheaper. But I didn't look at that. So, nevertheless, I got this pack. The weight's not quite right. That's beside the point. I was talking about paperwork on the plane. I didn't mean to jump all over the place there. We're talking about paperwork on it. Now, Brian's came with a quick start guide, and the one video I seen on Horizon's Hobbies website came with a quick start guide as well. Now, mine didn't come with anything. Like, mine just had that little swag tag, the little Horizon tag that said, register your vehicle and, get some free swag, blah, blah, blah. That's all that mine came with. And this is the only paperwork that I have, is this manual. And that's it. There's nothing else. And Brian Phillips had this piece of paperwork, the swag tag, a quick start guide, and some other warranty pieces of paperwork in there. This did not have any of that in there. None of that other warranty paperwork, none of it. It was just this and that little card that said, register your vehicle and get some free swag, blah, 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 blah. So some differences there between the two versions. And obviously, I learned that S2, the 2 means that this is version 2 or generation 2. It would have been better if they put like G2 or something, but maybe that doesn't sound so good. I don't know. But, so yeah, generation 2 apparently. All right, so there we go on that. Weight on the front here. So I had to add some weight to the front of this thing to get it to balance out right. And ultimately, I ended up putting in 57.16 grams of weight. 57.16 grams. And I was using these lead weights here. These are lead wheel weights. I'm not being sponsored by anybody once again. I got these from Napa Auto Parts, just to let you guys know. Here's who makes them. BADA. They're called Tape A weights. Tape A weight. They are made of lead, so hey man, lead poisoning. Be careful. California people, stay away from this. This is pure lead. Pure lead there, Californians. You can't handle this stuff. You can't handle the lead. I'm handling it right now, but I don't recommend that. All right, so lead bars here. These are wheel weights with self-adhesive tape on them on the back with no more adhesive on there. I used all the adhesive up on these on other projects. So I'm just reusing them at this point in time. Applying new double-sided tape to the back. And then you can just cut these with a pair of side cutters to whatever length you need it. And tape them in place. Essentially with that double-sided tape. And it's lead, so it bends really easy. And it's really easy to shape around certain things like on RC trucks and stuff, you know, for counterbalancing things. I'll use that weight to counterbalance a driver in something, you know. Like when I go to put that driver in that Jeep. I'm going to weigh that driver on a digital scale and see how much he weighs, and I'm going to put in the exact same amount of weight on the opposite side of the Jeep to balance it out. So it's not leaning to one side from the driver. All right, so there we go. I had to add 57.16 grams of weight to it. This little bar right here weighs 13.7 grams, just this on its own. So I basically put 4 of these bars in the front. And right up at the nose is where I started. I put in 2 bars first. I started with 1 bar first, and that wasn't enough. So then I added another bar on top of that, and that wasn't enough. So I started to become a little bit concerned with clearance with the canopy, and this part right here in the canopy, and coming into contact with those bars. So I put another layer behind it, put 1 more bar behind it. So I had 2 bars stacked up here, and then a 3rd bar over here, and that still wasn't enough. So I added a 4th bar on top. And I didn't think that was enough, and I added the 5th bar to it right here, and it turned out to be too much. So I had to peel the 5th bar back out. This was up here in the nose. And we had enough clearance that we could clear it with the canopy. Having that in the nose, I can put that in there right now. As an example, we can put our canopy on without a problem. So it'll still clear, even with that extra piece of lead in there. But it was too much weight to have that extra piece in there, so I had to remove that. Which is not so easy to remove right now. And just left it as it is. Right here is another piece of double-sided adhesive. I just haven't peeled the sticky off the back edge of it. So I was prepping in case I needed to relocate it a little bit further back. Because it is different. It does make a difference from here to here. Between up here feeling nose heavy to right here feeling relatively balanced. And I think without it, it's probably a little bit more balanced. It might lean back just a little bit, just a pinch, leaning back, but it's a pusher prop, so it's going to be pushing forward. So maybe taking that into account. So right now I think I have it pretty much balanced right where it's at. We'll put the camera in the tripod and get this thing up on the CG points and see what it looks like here. I'll scratch that for 1 second. Put our battery in. This is where it's going to be sitting. I don't have any Velcro in here just yet. I haven't put any Velcro on the back of the battery just yet. I still might order that 2200 milliamp pack for it. I'm not too sure as of yet. And I haven't gotten out to fly it yet. Another thing that I did is I removed our bind plug here. I wanted to mention that before I put the camera in the tripod. But I removed this bind plug that was coming off of our receiver. Just because you don't necessarily need it. If you do want to bind this thing up to another receiver or another transmitter in the future, it's got the push button on top of the receiver. So all you have to do is just take the screws out of the wing, take the wing off, and just push down the button. It's pretty easy to do. So there's no point in having this bind plug just hanging down here. I didn't want it to get tangled up with our servos. So I removed it for that purpose. I did have it tucked in through this hole up here initially, but these are air coolant holes. Those are holes for air to move through the fuselage. There's a hole on the bottom of the fuselage right down here on the nose, right there, for air to get in. We have a air hole right here on our on the canopy. Excuse me there for stammering around there. And there's another air hole right up here that blows that air past the ESC in the receiver. There's the ESC right down there. You can see that little capacitor hanging low. That's part of the ESC. And then a little bit of air hole right there leading out past the motor. Another one right back here on the back of the plane. Excuse me, right there as well. So didn't want to block that air hole with our extension here. And it's a good extension. It's just being used for nothing. It's just hanging on there doing absolutely nothing. We've got a 6-channel receiver in here. We're only using 4 channels, so technically we've got 2 open channels on here. If we want to hook up lights of some sort, somewhere down the line, we do have 2 open channels that we can hook onto. Nevertheless, I pulled this off of our bind plug just to get it out of there and lessen the chance of entanglement. So I wanted to show you guys that real quick, pulling that thing out of there. we'll get our camera chucked on our tripod real quick and check out our CG. All right, so hopefully we'll be able to catch this on camera. Nose clamp back on there. Touching our CG points underneath the wings. And it seems to be okay. I don't know if we're, hopefully we're catching it on camera. I'm just watching how it balances out. And kind of like a bobber in the water, it almost seems like it's just a little bit heavier on the tail. Just a pinch. It seems like it's settling on the tail slightly. Another piece of lead weight, if we put that in there, it would settle on the nose slightly. So I think this is a good alternative right here. It seems like it's relatively balanced in that spot. Once again, I haven't flown the plane yet, so I'm just basing it. This is my baseline starting point. So that's where I'm going to leave it at right there, with 57 grams of lead weight in the nose to compensate for that once again. So there we go on that. Another mid-video interruption. All right, it's currently April 29th. So a couple of weeks have transpired, well, months have transpired since we did our unboxing video. I still haven't posted the unboxing video. I'm going to post that later on today, so this is going to be the tail end of that video. So I did some more changes to the airplane. I ordered another battery for it, so I did get one of these 2200 milliamp packs for it, 3S LiPos, and I have another one of these on the way. And I also had to do some weight changes as well with the front of the vehicle, reorganizing some lead weight, removing some lead weight to compensate for the larger battery, and to readjust our center of gravity and all that other good nonsense. One other thing I wanted to point out at was something here in the manual with our electronic speed controller. And this was just a question on my mind that I didn't discover until, weeks after doing the unboxing video. And it was looking at our ESC, and what it says on that, it says Avion 30 amp Smart Light Brushless ESC 3S 4S with an IC3 connector. So 3S and 4S. As far as I know, the airplane's only 3S compatible. They say up to 2200 milliamps on the battery. Motor is a 2306 2250 kV brushless 14-pole motor. Now, 14-pole motor, it's actually pretty cool looking. It almost looks like an old rotary motor when you look at it, the 14 poles. But 3S, 4S, not too sure about that. I'm not too sure, excuse me, if the motor is 4S compatible. But the ESC kind of looks like it is. And if we look towards the back of the manual, look, it shows you how to land. It's pretty cool. Taking off, once again, read your manual. If we go to the back, when we start looking at our parts and things of that nature, parts and blah, 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 blah. Replacement parts and optional parts. Replacement parts. Avion 30 amp Smart Light Brushless ESC 3S to 6S. IC3 connector. So what's going on there? 3S to 4S on the other page, 3S to 6S on this page. Which one is it? Can this thing handle running on 6S? Can it handle running on 4S? Can the motor handle running on 4S or 6S? That's the question. And then checking out the motor, once again, 14 pole. You see the little turns there, or the poles. Get our airplane out of here. It's kind of stuck in the back, but yeah, it's kind of like an old rotary motor, eh? It looks pretty cool. It's pretty darn cool, and there's really not much to it. Boys and girls, for you, those of you who don't know about an Outrunner, there's not much to it. This whole outer shell spins around the poles there, essentially, and that's all there is. The props attached to that. So, I mean, it's pretty wild. And produces quite a bit of power from what we've seen. Quite a bit of power out of that little Outrunner. Right, let's check out our battery setup here before we call it a video here. Once again, got the bigger battery for it, the larger battery. Also added a Spectrum Sky ID remote ID module for this. I know people are up in arms about this. All the old school airplane guys are up in arms about this. And I totally understand why, and I totally feel for you. I understand. I mean, I get it. It's like a violation of rights of sorts, and I understand, you know, what everybody's concern is with it. But my channel is all on the up and up, and since I'm being viewed by the public, I got to stick on the up and up. So I have a Sky ID module in my airplane. Now I purchased this right around the same time I purchased the airplane. It was actually just a couple days later that I ordered the Sky ID module once I realized it was available, or that you pretty much had to get it, and that the rule was about to happen. It was before March 24th that I purchased that. So, regardless, I had that before the rule was passed officially, and had it all hooked up and ready to go. So it is, the plane is registered. I do have my FAA information and my AMA information, so I'm all legal and ready to rock and roll with the airplane as far as that goes. And then once again, had to rebalance our weight, removed a couple bars. We went from 57.16 grams of weight with our smaller 1300 milliamp pack in here, down to 27.4 grams of weight with our larger 2200 milliamp pack. And have a little line in our fuselage where the pack needs to be. That's basically as far forward as you can go before that little foam chunk there on the cowling it starts hitting on the battery. So that's about as far forward as you can go. One other thing that I did was trimmed off some excess material on our linkage rods right here, going to the tail rudder and the elevator at the back, because these guys were coming into well, they were coming pretty darn close to hitting these wires on the battery. So trimmed a little excess material off of those. Should probably take a little bit more off, but right now they're not coming into contact, so we're okay. But before, there was a good chunk of material hanging off of here. If you go back and look in the video, right around a 1/4 inch of material that was hanging off of here, and that was hitting these wires. So didn't like the idea of those possibly going through the coating on the wires and whatnot and causing a problem. So trim those back just a wee bit right there. Power wire going to our little Sky ID module. Yes, I ran it through that vent hole, leading back up in towards the ESC. So, yeah, I know I was complaining about having a wire through the vent hole, but I ran it up there anyways. And once again, there is our ESC hanging down right there, one of the capacitors. You can see it attached right down there. So, and there we go on that, boys and girls. And she's a done deal. She's ready to rock and roll. We haven't had it out yet to go fly as of yet. The weather's been up and down here in northern Michigan. I really don't have anywhere to fly around my house. Many of you who are subscribed to my channel know that. It's just wall-to-wall trees around here. But I think across the road from our property association, there's a big open farm field and a cemetery. And I think I can take off and land possibly from the cemetery. Worst case scenario, I can take off and land from the main road and use that as a runway. As long as I'm mindful of traffic, which is few and far between out here in the sticks. So I should be okay as long as I'm mindful of people and traffic and stay below 400 feet and all that other good nonsense. We should be fine. It's a Class G airspace, so I should be all good. So there we go, boys and girls. That is all the mods that I've done to the airplane since I've had it. Haven't had a chance to take it out and fly it as of yet. Crossing my fingers that I won't be taking it home in a plastic bag full of parts. But I do have some foam to foam glue just in case. Hopefully we don't have to use it. All right, so that's going to do it, boys and girls. Very much appreciated for y'all sticking around and watching the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my show and tell video. Not so much an unboxing video, but more of a show and tell to my channel subscribers, because once again, I'm more terra firma, boys and girls. Let me key on some lights here. It's the middle of the night. But I'm more terra firma on my channel. I've got a lot of crawlers for the newcomers and go for it. Fast vehicles. I know it's hard to see from this angle away, but we got a Lucy 10, Traxxas Slash Ultimate Edition, Traxxas Slash Ultimate Edition, Armanero, old school Traxxas Revo 2.5R, old school Emax, brand new Axial SCX10, SMT10, Axial Bomber roller down there. Axial Wraith 1.9 RTR, Tamiya Terra Scorcher,
To me, a stadium truck, old school Traxxas Sledgehammer, Traxxas TRX4 Sport Trax, Red Cat Gen 8, custom Red Cat Gen 8, Jeep Comanche with a shortened wheelbase and 110mm oil-filled shocks, and yada yada yada. Vatera Ascender, Vatera Twin Hammers, kit version, heavy duty. Custom TRX4 Bronco long travel, custom Vatera Ascender with TRX4 portal axles and VXL brushless combo, and TRX4 Trax, another custom Vatera Ascender Suburban, full-on custom with custom taillights and custom bumpers and tires and wheels and front headlights and bumpers. Custom WL Toys 10428, which is essentially a Vatera Twin Hammers from top to bottom now, currently. Been totally converted. It's a clone of a Vatera Twin Hammers, but it's been totally converted into a Vatera Twin Hammers. It's basically a Vatera Twin Hammers with a WL Toys wrapper and custom headlights across the front, all recessed. One-off, custom taillights as well. WL Toys 10428 with all Vatera drivetrain on it. Total one-off custom again. Hydroplane vehicle, MIP steel drive shafts. Custom RC 4-wheel drive, Trailfinder 2. Custom Vatera K10 Ascender, first of its kind. Both of these guys are the first of its kind. That one and this one with TRX4 portal axles and the VXL 3S brushless combo. First of a kind, meaning they are the first ever to have that portal axles and a brushless combo window there out of the Traxxas. My custom Bronco up there, long travel Bronco, with custom rework front suspension using our old servo mount and pan hard bar mount. That way we can get full articulation left and right with both of our tracks, as well as full compression. With our front axle, we can bottom out both the front shocks, do full compression. And you can't do that with a High Trail Edition. Custom Axial SCX 10.3, custom Vatera Ascender Bronco with taillights in the back. Custom LED taillights. Look like the stock taillights, but there's LED taillights back there. As well as custom LED headlights and on the bumper there. Another one-off truck. Custom TRX6 Mercedes-Benz with a winch 8274 up under the hood. Custom across the board. And custom trailers. Custom NQD jet boat with a VXL 3M brushless combo in there. Custom excavator, custom excavator, custom excavator, custom loader. Custom tipper trucks. Custom snowcats. So there we go, boys and girls. Everything we have is custom. Newest vehicle right there, custom as well. Just put a driver in there and just did a video on that, on how to install the driver. I haven't posted that as of yet, and we just took it out on the adventure course, but custom suspension on this one as well. All right, so there we go, boys and girls. Once again, we are mainly terra firma. We are just touching base, dipping our toes in water with airplanes, learning how to fly. We're not necessarily going to go in that direction all the way, so just bear with me on that. The airplane videos are going to be few and far between. But that's going to do it on this one. Very much appreciated for y'all sticking around and watching the video as always. Questions or comments are always welcome as always. And we'll see you all on the next one. Once again, anybody knows about those batteries, 3S, 4S, 6S, the whole deal with that, let me know in the comments. All right, we'll see you all on the next one. Thanks again.